you doing? Hopefully I'm going to shoot a helpful video today. What I want to do is show you my trials and tribulations trying to put a bumper onto my minivan. So I got a trailer hitch set up off of Amazon, and I'm going to put it on the minivan because it's springtime out and you never know when you're going to run across a motorcycle or something you're going to need to drag home, right? Now, ordinarily I don't think you would need that much help to put a trailer hitch like this on because there's just 5 bolts, but what I've done is broken 2 of the bolts off, and they're in an inaccessible area. The threads that you thread the mounting bolts into are actually on the van already, and they hold the bumper bracket on. So to get the broken nuts out, I'm gonna have to take the entire bumper off of the minivan, pull it out, and then figure out a way to get some a fresh grade 8 bolt in there to complete my mounting process. So tools I'm using for this job, I've got an impact wrench, which is how I broke the first 2 bolts off. And then after that, I did it by hand. And I'll tell you what worked really well was I hit them with PB Blaster, you know, just a, like a penetrating oil, and then backed them out just a little way, would hit them, screw them in, and there's some holes in the frame where you can squirt up towards the top of the bolt. So I would squirt up there, back it out, back it in, back it out until they came out all the way by hand, because I sure didn't want to go after any more snap bolts, and I really absolutely had to. So I guess let's just get started here. The other thing you're going to need, so impact wrench, ratchets and stuff, torque wrench, because you're going to torque this on to whatever the torque specs are that they put in the instructions, and you're going to need premium rock and roll. So I recommend Easy Action, and if you can't get that, any AC/DC record up to and including Back in Black will work. All right, so here we go. So there's some bolts retaining the tail lights here. I got to take those off because there's another bolt that holds the bumper on that's under the tail light. I got a couple here, that, and then back here inside the wheel well. I don't know if you can see, but there's some more Phillips head screws holding the bumper on. So we got to take all of that stuff off to get to it. The bolts that hold the taillights in come out pretty quickly, pretty easily, but the connectors for the taillights gave me a little bit of trouble. Okay, so the taillights have these little connectors. There's a sliding red switch on here. It's down when they're connected, so slide it up and then push down on this little tab here, if you can see that black tab right there, and they should come right out, right? So here I'm just going around and looking for any fasteners that I can find and taking them out. I'm trying not to scratch the paint, so you see I grabbed a little shim, like you would use to shim a door frame, and I'm using it as a backing anytime I pry against some of these plastic clips. They're sort of like, oh man, I don't know. They're like giant plastic nails, essentially. So prying those out without breaking them was a huge priority. And I'm just going around looking for all of them that I could find and backing them with that piece of wood, and I wound up using a trim removal tool that gets the door handles off of old cars. But I think you could even use a fork and it would work. But just going around and trying to be gentle and remove them without breaking them, which was a big pain. Honestly, and I did break a few of them, but fortunately none of them got stuck inside the vehicle. So I can go around, and after I've got these out, just start to peel off the skin that goes over the bumper frame and get the whole back bumper off, which looks like I'm about to do right now. Did I miss a few? There we go. And now I'm going to pull that metal core. You see the white piece there? That is plastic covering a metal core that goes into the frame and all the way across. It's a solid piece. And so once you take the bolts out on both sides, then you can just pull the whole thing out. There you go. All right, so a couple things here. This is the little plastic fastener that goes in the wheel well, and I broke all of these taking them out. So we'll just have to wait and see if they are good enough to go back in. We're still under lockdown, so I don't really want to go to the auto parts store or anything like that. Here's the second half of our little solution here. It's a grade 8 bolt on a great big long piece of copper wire that I pulled out of some Romex, and I'm going to fish that through there. And of course I checked to make sure that this will actually fit through our hole, because wouldn't that be a treat to get the whole thing back together and find out that it won't go through. And then here's the hole in question, right there. You can see the welds. I popped the weld nut out with an air chisel, which is what began this little adventure. Yeah, so all right, here we go.
So here I'm just putting that whole assembly back in and doing the rearmost bolt to sort of draw it level. It has a tendency to want to pull down because the part with the white plastic on it is heavier. It wants to pull out of those holes. So I got the bolts in there just sort of loose, and only put one in on the end of each side because I have to put the hitch up underneath it right now, and I don't want to take out all those bolts, right? So there I go somewhere to look for some kind of tool. Got whatever that was. And as soon as I got this finished, I was ready to put the hitch in, which I think, here I go, there's the hitch.
All right, there you can see the exhaust hanger. I took that down. I can't really get under the car to the point to which, that's one of the ones I stripped out. I helicoiled that one. I can't get under the car far enough to get the other exhaust hangers off, so I'm just gonna kind of force this muffler aside to get to the bolts I need to get to. One is there, one is right under the muffler here. The other side is super easy. And of course, this is the side that I snapped the two bolts off on. So in order to get the muffler out of the way, I was pulling it out of the way like that so I could get to the bolts. It was impossible to do that and wrench on it at the same time. So I got some chain, made a loop out of it, and then I just put my foot through it. This is some hillbilly technology here, but it did let me use my leg for leverage to move this out of the way to the side and get to that bolt. So, you know. Okay, you can see our trailer hitch mounting bolts there that are also the mounts for the frame rails, or I'm sorry, the bumper brackets. This side, you can see our new one tucked up in there. The others are kind of under the muffler. I still got to put the muffler bracket on, but it's in there. Now we just got to put it all back together.
There's a section of this time lapse that I must not have pushed record on. I don't know how I lost it, but it was me actually putting the entire hitch assembly up under there. You see this bucket here? That's a bucket full of chains that I've had in my garage since I found it in front of my neighbor's house when he was throwing it out because it had been in his garage for 10 years. Anyway, it happened to be the exact perfect height to support that entire trailer hitch while I tried to get the bolts threaded through. So picture me laying on my back with that bucket holding that trailer hitch up and me trying to use my feet and my arms to hold the thing up there and get the bolts in. It was pretty funny. Maybe it's better that it's lost.
There you go. It tucks up in there really nice. It doesn't really interfere with the bumper skin at all. It bends it up a little bit, you can see. I was worried I was gonna have to trim it. I didn't. Those little screw things that hold the bumper into the wheel wells, those things just detonated on impact. They're all messed up, so I'm gonna have to go get some more of those after we get out of the COVID shutdown. But that's about it. I got it done. I'm looking forward to using it. I noticed that the nut broke off and I found the nut too. Where is it? Now I can't find it. Anyway, I had to fish the nut through there with that piece of wire. I really didn't have to do that because I could have just, once the bumper bracket was in there, probably just pushed it in. Either way, I got it in and it's back together, and I spent way too much of my life working on that. So looking forward to actually using it. Hopefully this helped. If not, sorry.
All right, gang, I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to put out, I don't know, my adventures and escapades, guitar stuff, car stuff, Detroit stuff. So, I don't know, like, subscribe, and I'll see you around.